Welcome into the opening line report, August 10th, I believe it is, with Teddy Covers. I am Drew Martin. We're breaking down every game on the board in the NBA for both Monday's card and Tuesday's card. So, Teddy, happy Monday morning to you, buddy.
Hey, happy Monday to you, Drew. Excited to talk some NBA. Obviously, next Monday, the NBA playoffs will be starting. So there's certainly been a lot of heavy action in the association and good action in the NBA. I've been impressed with the product. You know, there were a lot of concerns about whether it'd be any good or not, and it's been competitive and entertaining basketball. So, and of course, we've been running pretty good, so no complaints there. Let's do some NBA today. We'll go through every game for today, and I'll give you my opening lines for tomorrow, based on the information we have right now, and do some quick hitters for people looking ahead for tomorrow's card.
Sure, Teddy. We got some questions off of Twitter. Also, guys in the chat box, feel free to throw out any questions. We got Eric, Gerald in the house, One Time Sports. Welcome in. Happy Monday morning to all you guys in the chat box. We'll hit some questions in just a bit, probably in between the Monday and Tuesday cards, guys, but throw them out there in the chat. We got first game up here, Teddy, 737-738, Oklahoma City versus the Phoenix Suns, seeing a 7.5 is the point spread right now, Teddy, and looks like a total of 221 to 220, anywhere bouncing in between there. What are your thoughts on the top of the card game?
Well, when you talk about the Phoenix Suns right now, you're talking about the team that has won every game and covered every point spread here in the bubble. They haven't attracted a huge betting bandwagon, probably because they were afterthoughts coming into this. But the betting bandwagon is certainly growing on Phoenix, and with OKC playing on the second of back-to-backs, with OKC coming off a nice win yesterday, taking care of business against Washington and coming out strong after they came out with very little in a couple of previous games. It was certainly a Thunder spot, and they took care of business. Now it's second of back-to-backs. They're not going to have Noel tonight. They're not going to have Gallinari tonight. They're not going to have Gilgeous-Alexander tonight. They're not going to have Steven Adams tonight. And, of course, Schroeder is still out of the bubble. So that's 5 key pieces for OKC. The money's pouring in on Phoenix. I understand why, but at the same time, I'm not excited about laying 7.5 with the Suns, given the nuance of this game and given the one quote from Chris Paul that I found prior to yesterday's game against the Wizards. All right. After they lost against Memphis, blown out in that game. And remember, they led big early, and then the Grizz just ran them out in the second quarter and just got worse. Chris Paul telling his teammates that they have to approach their contest with more urgency as they prepare for the back-to-back against the Wizards and Suns. Paul, we got to come out and compete. I think we can't wait until we get down 5 or 6 or something like that and decide we're going to play. That starts with me. If we get a lead, if it's 10 or 15, we got to be one of those teams to try to take it to 20 or 25. Worth noting, Chris Paul, based on the information I have right now, is expected to play today, which may make this line. And that quote, well, the line may be a little bit high if you believe that quote. And you think the urgency will be there for OKC despite the comfortable win and cover yesterday and the fact that they're sitting 5 key guys. So understand the Phoenix money, not my money.
Teddy, have you noticed since the restart that there's been more of movement in both sides and totals compared to before the restart with the NBA, or about the same?
I mean, there are so many. Game in and game out, there have been injury questions, and the markets are really reacting to the injury moves, or guys are sitting and guys are playing, and the markets are reacting to situational spots. So there has been a lot of line movement. But when you think about, let's not forget, this is the last week of the regular season before the playoffs. And when you think about what the NBA betting board normally looks like that last week, there's no overnight lines on any games because they're like, who's going to sit, who's going to play. So it's certainly comparable to a normal NBA final week. And frankly, sometimes NBA final week, you do see the 10-point moves and all of that. We've seen a handful here. So I wouldn't say it's probably more than it was right before the hiatus, but it's fairly typical of a final week of the regular season. where the lines can and will jump all over the place because coaches are changing game plans sometimes and rotation patterns on the fly.
Okay. And Teddy, let's just hit this next game here. 739-740 Dallas versus Utah. We're seeing the Jazz -6 in the hook here, 221.5 being the total.
So the money's poured in on Utah today. And it has everything to do with who Dallas is sitting and starting this game. There's not going to be no KP. Porzingis is not going to play for the Mavs today. Luka is not going to play for the Mavs today. And then they have, the guys who have been out, Finney Smith and Stein and Lee and Brunson and Powell. But they're missing their top two players in Luka and Porzingis today. All that said, info I have is Donovan Mitchell is out. And if you watched Utah-Denver on Saturday, an incredible basketball game. I mean, it really was high-level basketball down the stretch and through two overtimes. That was a game, I tweeted it took years off my life, and it did. Denver blew a couple of leads and finally held on at the end. But that was a balls-to-the-wall game for both teams. Now they're playing, and I know they've had a day off in between. But I can tell you this, Utah is not going to be on my card here. And at the current price point, I understand that Dallas, too, is coming off a very satisfying win, and they're sitting key guys. The Mavs have good depth. I'll leave it at that. And without Mitchell, Utah's offense is spotty at best. Not a team I'm comfortable laying the price with. It'd be Mavs or pass for this better. Obviously, heavy money has come. A decent amount of money has come in the under, given all the fact that Luka and KP are sitting for Dallas.
Okay, and Teddy, we got Leroy asking, do you have any opinion here on the OKC Phoenix total?
I don't have a strong feel for that total at all. I didn't get a sense over. I'm not look. OKC in my mind is certainly more of an under team than an over team. They're not about pace, and they are bringing it on the defensive end of the court. But without their guys, without Noel and Adams, I don't know that holds true. So it's just one of those. It's a total that I did not have a good feel for. I didn't seriously consider playing over or under. Okay,
Teddy, we got 6:30 Eastern here. Toronto versus Milwaukee. We're seeing the Bucks 7. Mostly there is a 7.5 out there. 228.5 being the total.
Let's give a quote. The Raptors, solid win, impressive win. In their last outing. Obviously, we're talking about a team that has been good in the bubble, and now we're talking about a team that is basically coming off. I mean, the win against Memphis yesterday, that was hard fought. I know they won by 9, covered the spread in the end, coming off that no-show against Boston on Friday night. But that was a win that the Raptors took the game seriously, played their key guys down the stretch, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the quote from Nick Nurse. "We've played heavy minutes. We did what we kind of needed to do to go 4-1 in the restart and put this thing where we needed to be. I would say you'll see a little bit of everything here in the last 3 games as far as a lot of guys playing." That quote stands out to me. Second of back-to-back, the coach is fat and happy, and he's clearly saying, I'm going to give my guys some rest before the playoffs start. Milwaukee's coming off a loss. Bucks have been pretty darn good coming off a loss, and they haven't been good here in the restart. They certainly haven't been the Milwaukee team that many expected to see. It's not from a point spread perspective. They've had moments, and literally moments. The game against Miami where they closed out on a 20-0 run, or went on a 20-0 run late in the fourth to get the money. But those have been few and far between here in the bubble. So the price may be a little bit lofty, but on the other hand, if Milwaukee's taking this game seriously, the Bucks will certainly remember what happened in the playoffs last year against Toronto, and the Raptors in this point spread range. Given the quote from Nurse, not a team I'm interested in today.
Yeah, Teddy. And do you think that that's what this move is primarily based off of, that quote?
I think that people have realized that Toronto doesn't care that much about this game. Yes.
Right. Okay.
I I haven't seen like the announcement that the Raptors aren't going to play so-and-so or aren't going to play so-and-so. I haven't seen any of that. There was also some concern about Giannis had an issue with his tooth, whether he was going to play, and it looks like he's going to play. So it may be Giannis upgraded to that he's going to play as opposed to any other factor, because there's been no official announcement from Toronto that they're going to be resting guys, and I don't expect to see one before tip-off, which is a nice, when you find that quote deep, that was a deep search quote. That was way down there. It was like the fourth article I looked at, it was like towards the bottom. It wasn't the first one that popped up. So sometimes those quotes don't get noticed by everyone. That may be the case here.
Yeah, no, I mean, not only in the NBA, Teddy, but when you start, your Google search for the quotes and it goes to the third or fourth page and you find something good like that, it almost means more in that situation, right?
Shh.
All right, Teddy, we got Indiana and Miami up next. The Heat -3 in the hook or -4, 221 being the total.
Yeah, fascinating game here. This one's going to be a lot of fun to watch because people don't remember from before the hiatus, but Jimmy Butler and T.J. Warren have a grudge match going on. These guys do not like each other. There was a lot of talk in the last meeting, a game that Miami won by 16 over Indiana, and the impression I got. Butler sat the last two games. He was eyeing this game to come back specifically so he can match up against Warren. Looks like Dragic will be back in the lineup for Miami as well. That's a big part of the reason why we've seen money come for the Miami Heat so far. They opened 2.5. Now we're looking at 3.5s and 4 out there. But yeah, so we have Dragic and Butler both upgraded to probable for Miami. Of course, the Heat have been a real good team coming off a loss all season, but they were coming off a loss in their last game and didn't win. Without when you talk about Butler and Dragic right now, Bam's number 2, but Dragic's the key to the bench unit, and Butler's the number 1 guy on the starting unit. So when you take away your best player for both the starting unit and the bench unit, not surprised that Miami had their fair struggles the last 2 games, but they have been excellent off a loss. That said, when you talk about undervalued commodities here in the bubble, we talked about Phoenix a minute ago, and Indiana certainly falls into that same category. As a team that has been significantly undervalued here in the bubble. The only loss they have came, again, it was a flat spot against Phoenix. They are coming off a satisfying win against the Lakers, but, they've certainly indicated that they're taking every game here in the bubble seriously. I would be shocked to see them not take this one seriously, especially given the grudge match between Butler and Warren. This one could be a lot of fun. It really could be. And, of course, Indiana's been a real good dog. They've been a real good point spread team. But Miami off back-to-back loss with Butler circling this game, that's meaningful to me.
All right, Teddy, we got one game left here on the Monday card. Then, guys, we're going to answer some questions, so throw them out there in the chat. We got a couple off of Twitter as well. Then we're going to quick hit the Tuesday card, so maybe get some overnight lines there to get ahead of some of these line movements. We got 745, 746 here, the nightcap for tonight's slate, Teddy. Denver versus the LA Lakers. We're seeing Lakers -5, 221 being the total.
And this is another really fascinating game. All right, I talked about Utah and the game they played the other day against Denver and how, both teams legitimately left it all on the court in that double overtime thriller. The Jazz got more minutes from their starters. 4 of their five starters played like 42 plus. Denver, despite their injuries, had a little bit more depth. But, of course, Jamal Murray, his first game back, he was supposed to play. He was on a minutes limit, and he ended up playing 30 plus in that game. And just from a roller coaster emotional standpoint, it was a meaningful game. It was double overtime thriller. And now, you're dealing in a relatively short turnaround with a game against the Lakers that I like this Denver team. I continue to think I'm going to make money with the Nuggets in the postseason and maybe even down the stretch. But they're not a team. Denver and Utah to me off of that game was just a priori. I'm not backing those squads today. The question is, what do we do with the Lakers? And that it really is a legitimate question right now. Look, the 2 favorites were the Lakers and the Bucks. The Bucks haven't played particularly well in the bubble, and the Lakers have played even worse. LeBron complaining about how it's hard to get, and I mean complaining, but guys are going to trying to make excuses for what's going wrong. And LeBron's like, it's weird. The fans mean something to me. I'm not used to playing in empty gyms. And I mean, the Lakers' energy hasn't been there. Their offensive flow hasn't been there. You look at their, again, dead last in the bubble in offensive category after offensive category. Worse than the Wizards, worse than the Nets. Whether it's effective field goal percentage or points per 100 possessions, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a real struggle for them. And, we think that, all right, you have LeBron, you have AD, you're automatically getting there. They remade their roster. Their backcourt was completely remade during the hiatus. And instead of Rondo and Bradley starting, now it's a very different story for LA. They're struggling a little bit right now. And is this the kind of thing that's going to carry over indefinitely? Are the Lakers about to flip a switch against a team that you might be able to flip a switch against? I don't know what to do with the Lakers right now. And part of me thinks that you might make more money fading this team moving forward than backing them. And part of me thinks this isn't the right day. And maybe the Lakers take this real seriously because they have struggled so bad. But even the quotes coming out of there from AD, saying, yeah, we'll figure it out. We're not stressed. We're not freaking out. It'll be okay. I'm not getting that, hey, enough is enough already. There's that urgency sense from the Lakers based on the quotes. Maybe we see it on the court tonight. And Denver is vulnerable in many ways this evening. The Lakers' A game is going to be a problem for the Nuggets in this one. But we've seen enough out of the Lakers here in the bubble that I haven't seen anything resembling their A game yet. And we're enough games in that you start to worry about that just a little. I mean, even that game against the Jazz, that's their only cover in the bubble. And that wasn't an A game level performance either. And so it's a game I'm not involved with. Clearly, I don't want the dog, and I have too many concerns about the favorite. So it's one I'll be leaving alone and watching, see if we can get something in game.
All right, Teddy. He's Teddy Covers, sportsmemo.com. Check him out. $9 Monday, guys. All plays discounted to just $9. Teddy, 8-0, 100% last 4 days. He's feeling it right now. He's got a trifecta in MLB, also a play in the NBA up right now. So check him out, sportsmemo.com. Free plays up on the NFL as well. So, Teddy, did I miss anything right there?
Yeah, it's a 3-pack altogether. I have 2 in the NBA and 1 in MLB for tonight, but on $9 Monday, obviously you get a bargain price if you want to buy the 3-pack.
Okay, so yeah, 3-pack there if you want it. Also, NBA and MLB as well. Guys, feel free to throw out any questions in the chat. We'll hit them right now. Teddy, we do have some from Twitter as well. Right off the bat, we got Rob asking, with Ohio State, I guess Ohio State, did you hear, just canceled their football season? Okay.
Yeah, one of the reasons, I mean, normally on Mondays, it's a football opening line report.
Uh-huh.
And I'm hoping next week that we'll be able to do an NFL opening line report on a Monday. That would be very nice, and I would really enjoy that. Right now, nothing's happened in the NFL markets. I still think there's going to be an NFL season, but the college season, I mean, to say it's on the brink is putting it mildly. The college season from all indications, it looks like multiple conferences will cancel in the next 24 hours. They haven't done so already. Now, it's worth noting there are definitely differences around the country. All right. When you look at the SEC and you look at the Big 12, all of the schools in those 2 leagues are in states with governors that want college football and it's all. So when you look at that perspective, SEC and Big 12, where there's going to be more support for college football amongst the administration, amongst the population, amongst the in all different ways. There's a chance we could still see something for SEC and Big 12 in the fall. When it comes to the Big 12 and the Pac-12, it doesn't look good. And ACC, I really don't get a sense of anything from the ACC other than that they want Notre Dame money. which means ACC is more likely to play. But there's still a chance for SEC and Big 12. I'm not feeling confident at all about Pac-12 or Big 10 today.
Okay. Well, Teddy, I guess that could be the next question. But to finish off his question from Twitter, I guess all the MAC schools did the same thing in canceling their season, at least for the fall. What is that going to do for eligibility? ? Does that mean that their seniors are not going to get their final year? Do you know anything about that, Teddy?
Everything is up in the air. Nobody has any idea. There are no rules to deal with anything like this. The NCAA as an organization controls college basketball. They do not control college football, and we've seen that. That's why there's no December madness for a football tournament instead of a March Madness. It's literally been, it's every man for himself, every conference for yourself. So we're not getting any broad leadership, and it's not designed to have broad leadership. So it's just going to be an individual case in every instance. Each individual conference is going to make their decision, and the conferences where the pushback is going to be greater clearly are the Big 10 and the Pac-12, and that doesn't bode well for those two conferences. Okay,
and I guess just to take the other side of what you were saying, and it doesn't look good. With the MAC canceling, even Ohio State, the South, like the SEC in particular, I just don't think they care what the MAC does, Teddy. No. I mean, you're going top to bottom in the MAC. I don't believe that any of those programs are actually profitable. Where the SEC, it's like night and day. The money difference, which I think is going to drive this train. The SEC doesn't care what the MAC does.
And let's not make no mistake about it. And I don't want to talk politics on today's show, but there is a political element to this. Every governor of an SEC in an SEC school state is Republican. Every governor in the 5 Big 12 states is Republican. There's clearly been a difference in terms of the way the Republicans and the Democrats have moved to approach dealing with COVID-19. With the Republican side being much more, let's open things up, let's play, and when we'll deal with we'll deal with the consequences. We can't shut down the economy. That's the case for, again, all the SEC schools, and all the Big 12 schools are run in Republican states, which makes a difference. We don't want to talk politics. It's not a politics thing, but in this instance, it is a politics thing, and that perhaps works more favorably towards the schools in the Big 12 and the SEC than in schools that are in states governed by Democrats.
Okay. And guys, we're going to hit on the Tuesday NBA card as well, but do want to take some questions here off the chat box. Teddy, speaking about if college football doesn't play, and even if the SEC goes off, how big of a hit do you think that will be to the sports betting handle overall for Nevada, just overall, even illegally?
That's an interesting question, and I haven't thought about it. So I got to give you an off-the-cuff answer for me, and the answer is some. But as long as you have other stuff going, if you have the NFL all of a sudden going on Saturdays with all national TV games, and the NBA going all through September, and the NHL going all through September and October, and MLB going through all through September and October, it will be missed, but it won't be this gaping hole. As a bettor, look, I love college football. I love watching it. I love betting it. It's a consistently profitable sports for me and my clients. I would love to see a college football season this year, but I'm not expecting it. And if we don't, I think there will be enough other stuff to bet that the handle won't decline precipitously. It'll hurt, but it's not going to be one of these deals where all of a sudden, September betting revenue is down 30% from last year. I wouldn't expect anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, no, you remember the guy Sportsbook Connoisseur on Twitter? I think he's your friend.
Consigliere? Sportsbook Consigliere?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's a good follow, by the way.
He's a great follow.
Yeah, he was responding to somebody that was saying they'd never heard of a college football bettor that only bet college football, and I'm like, no way, that's not true. There's a lot of people in the South that are all about college football.
And again, when it comes to professional level betting, there are the guys who succeed are most assuredly specialists,
right?
And the guys who this is what they do. The college football is their market that they're focused on. They exist, and some of them do rather well.
Okay. Teddy, hitting the chat box here. We got Ron asking, can Teddy explain to me why bets in the Orioles-Nats game were voided? A suspended game that assumes Friday. I can't find reasoning.
Okay, so this is what's going on. Yeah, that's a great question. And great questions in the chat today, guys. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to A, watch, and B, contribute to the show. So thank you for that. And that is a real concern. All right. So side bets should not have been canceled. And if someone's canceled your side bet, I would consider that to be a problem. However, team total, the game was not completed, so it reverts back to the last full inning for grading purposes. Thanks to the TARP malfunction. MLB can find anything this year, can't they?
No.
But when a game doesn't go the full, whether it's 9 innings or now 7 innings for these doubleheaders, if it doesn't go the full distance, your team totals get canceled. Your run line wagers get canceled, and your total for the game gets canceled. Even if it's already gone over, it still gets canceled. And that's just been the way the house has always done it to avoid confusion. So some of the bets were canceled for the games, all the team totals, the total for the game, the run lines. But sides, whichever side you had, should have been paid in that. Let me know if it wasn't, because that is not what I've heard from people that were. I wasn't in action on the game, so I didn't. I couldn't check my own bets to see how it was graded. But that's how, in theory, it should be graded, at least here in the state of Nevada.
Okay, and Teddy, if somebody is in the state of Nevada or New Jersey and you think it's working against them and it was graded incorrectly, what should they do at that point? Go up to the sports book and then call the Nevada Gaming Control?
It depends on how far. So, I mean, if someone wants to make it to take it to gaming and then have a hearing on it, you absolutely can.
And is that how that would work?
Yeah. But I'm in Nevada. There are most assuredly regulations and rules for everything. Okay, and the books will grade the ticket based on the rules and regulations. Now, there are some issues with a suspended game getting restarted, and if there could be an issue with that. But the rules are clearly posted, and the rules, I don't think there's any room for question. I don't think for this one, you're supposed to get paid if you had a side wager on that. Or if you lost the bet, you're supposed to lose your ticket. There's no refund on it.
Okay. And of course, guys, that
what they should do is, yes, you go to the sports book, you ask, you find out. If not, you can call gaming. You can talk to, there's a number of attorneys in Las Vegas that deal with this type of thing. If you want to take it at that level, you certainly can.
Okay. And of course, guys, that also speaks to betting legally and some of the benefits there, because if you're dealing with offshore sports book, you're kind of at the will of them just doing the right thing, so to speak. So it can be.
Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And that's, some of it depends on how much liability they have on the game. And other times it depends on how much free positive publicity they can get for the game. We've seen DraftKings and FanDuel pay out weird stuff with 8 press releases,
Mm-hmm.
So it looks good. And it makes sense. It makes so much sense for the books to pay out some of this stuff and issue press release and get the good press from it. To me, that's the better methodology.
Yeah. It's funny, Teddy, because some of these, even offshore and legal sports books, they'll be like, "Hey, yeah, that game that didn't finish, we're paying out all the bets on both sides." And then you do a little research, and it's like, there's only actually 4 bets placed. But
that's why they do that.
Exactly.
They're not doing that when they got $1 million on both sides. Okay.
No. It's almost like just from the marketing department. But we got
it makes sense. Yeah. Why not?
Absolutely, man. We got DJ here in the chat box asking, Teddy and Drew, Bucks are 5-0 first quarter overs since entering the bubble. 57.5 today, minus 125. What you think about value there? 6-0 question mark.
If you're riding the trend, I have no hesitation to continue to ride it. I did zero handicapping in my thought process of how Milwaukee, the pace of the first quarter is going to be, and whether Toronto is going to bring it on the defensive end to open up the game. So I don't have a strong feel for it. But when you're riding the streaks, if you've been riding the streaks, it's a streak worth riding.
Yes.
Like any streak. If you're riding it, you ride it till it dies.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to pick up on it after it's cashed 5 times already, I got no strong opinion. I really don't. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the trend is your friend in sports betting and investing, whatever. I'm of the camp, like Teddy, it sounds like. And if it's working for you, don't change anything up. So I definitely agree there, Teddy. So we got a bunch of guys in here saying FanDuel's great at that. Yeah, absolutely. VIP, I agree with you. And other guys with the Sokar saying he had the Orioles team total over 3. They voided it even though they scored 5. So even though it was cash, they voided it, Teddy.
Doesn't matter. That's the regulation. Is the side bets stand, team totals, and a first 5 would stand there as well. But team totals, game total, run lines all get canceled, pushed, void, no action. Long-standing rule in the Nevada books when the game doesn't go the full distance.
Okay. All right.
So even when and I know it's super frustrating. The games.
Yeah.
I remember when totals get voided and the game only goes. The game goes. I remember there was a total that went over in the second inning, and it went 8, and the 9th got rained out, and I didn't. And it's like, come on, guys. That's a rule that probably should be changed, but there's no one around to change it. There's no lead. It's like the NCAA. There's no leadership out. It's going to say, okay, this is a stupid rule. Let's change it. And it requires a lot of, it's much easier for the books to say, this is the rule, than to say, well, this is the rule when the team doesn't score enough runs, but it changes when they score more. It's harder to do it that way. So from a does it make sense perspective, not necessarily from it. Is it easy to explain so that everyone can understand it perspective? It is, hence the rule being what it is.
And Teddy, you got to remember, it's not like cheating, because sometimes you get the benefit of it. If you had the under and they already hit the over and then it comes back, you do get refunded. But I guess last question here from me, Teddy. I bet the Atlanta Hawks over their season win total. I think it was 32. Absolutely wrong side. It was going to lose most likely. It was at Circa. My bet is still in there, and they haven't refunded it yet. Do you have any advice on what I should do? Should I call them? Should I tweet at them? Should I?
I would expect that if they haven't refunded it yet, that they will refund it at the end of the regular season on Friday.
Okay.
They may have those bets graded in there, but it's worth a call for sure. It's worth stopping by and say, hey, what's up with this? So yeah, it's there's nothing. Well, there are things better, but it certainly is a good thing as a bettor when you're like, gee, I was dead wrong on this, and then the rain comes, or the season gets canceled, or they're not going to get 82 games. You should get a refund from that bet. Absolutely. When they give you that refund, in theory, they should have already done it, but if it goes past Friday, asking.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Friday's the last day of the regular season.
Okay, cool. We got Tuesday, August 11 looks here. We're going to quick hit all the games, guys. Looks like first game on the card, 747, 748, Brooklyn, Orlando. I'm not seeing many lines out, Teddy.
There's no lines out yet on any of these. That's why I'm giving them.
Okay. All right, let's hear it, man. Brooklyn, Orlando.
If you guys see a line, let me know, because I haven't seen anything. I'm sure the whole concept of looking ahead to tomorrow was real, just quick hitters. Some of the thoughts we're looking at. For Orlando, let me just start with this. We don't know yet if Gordon or Fournier. I'm seeing them both questionable. I saw an article last night that said that didn't look like either guy was going to play. So that certainly concerns me. That is worth noting. Here's a quote from Steve Clifford off of a good loss against Boston from a point spread perspective. But Steve Clifford, I just told him in the locker room that it wasn't the effort I was looking for. We made a bunch of shots, but it's got to be better than that, despite missing Gordon and Fournier. My number, and I don't think the market's going to come with this number. My number is Brooklyn -2 against Orlando. The Nets have been a remarkably undervalued commodity. I hope you cashed a money line winner with them again yesterday. They opened 14.5-point dogs. So anyway, my line, pure power rating. This is with a no Gordon. Though Fournier is not worth anything. Okay, in my mind, to the point where he's not worth. I don't adjust half a point for Evan Fournier. Aaron Gordon's worth something. If Gordon does play, my line would be closer to pick him.
Okay, Daddy. We got Houston, San Antonio up next.
All right, we don't know if Russell Westbrook is going to play for the Rockets. We don't know if Derek White is going to play for San Antonio. If you don't think Derek White is important for San Antonio, you haven't watched the Spurs since they came back off the hiatus. He's been an absolute spark plug for that team. Every quote, the clients and I cashed with San Antonio yesterday, every quote from the Spurs has been a positive bet-on quote from San Antonio, a team that's really fighting for this to get into the play-in game for the final playoff berth. Popovich talking about the motivation quote. I think it'd be huge to make that. If we're able to be in the 9th spot, that's quite a victory. It says a lot about how this young group has come together with 3 of the starters out. I'm already thrilled with how they played, and it'd be really fantastic if we could get that. We're not there yet, but we made a lot of progress for sure. San Antonio's been a one-way team for me. They've been bet on all the way. Houston will have to see what their again, if Westbrook's going to play and what their quotes are right now. But I got the Spurs on my short list if I see a line. And again, my number is only Houston -4. That's a no Westbrook number. If we see something higher than that, and I would be surprised if we do, I'll be on the Spurs for sure.
All right, Teddy. And guys, we're going over Tuesday, August 11th card here. The look aheads towards the NBA betting card. Phoenix, the Suns, the hottest team in the NBA versus Philadelphia. What are you thinking about this one, Teddy?
Yeah, Suns will be on the second of back-to-backs. We'll have to see what kind of minutes and how they approach today's game against OKC. I don't know what the story is with Joel Embiid for Philadelphia. He rolled his ankle yesterday, barely played for the Sixers, and ended up being a pretty big difference as Philly fought and came up short late. Without Embiid, my numbers pick them. And that's with Phoenix on the second of back-to-backs. Sixers not a team I'm excited about putting my money on right now. I don't like anything I'm seeing out of Philadelphia. Brett Brown yesterday, quote, I thought our guys fought. I really thought the spirit of the group was fantastic. We called upon many different players that I think played with the spirit and a passion you're proud of. In other words, Philly got their A game out of their role players. And they did. Josh Richardson was incredible in that contest, and he wasn't the only one. I'm not convinced they can do it twice in a row. And if Phoenix wins today, that win streak is continues to be meaningful. So, I wouldn't. I'm not ready to put any money on Philly right now.
Okay, the 5 o'clock Eastern happy hour tip off here. Boston versus Memphis. What are you liking in this one, Teddy?
You missed Portland, Dallas. We'll come back to that in a minute. My number is Boston 8 over Memphis. Memphis to me is and I'm going to keep this one relatively short because I don't have quotes. And that I got a Taylor Jenkins quote actually. Taylor Jenkins from Memphis talking about the game yesterday. They lost to Toronto. I'm obviously proud of our guys. Tough fought game. Got down double digits there. That's an elite team right there. That team's got a great shot to play in a finals. I thought our guys brought it today. Now, Memphis brought it against Toronto. Now they're a team that is, playing without Jackson, struggling in a lot of different ways. And Boston has really looked good. The last 2 games have been, Celtics playing at a playoff level basketball. My number's 8. I think that might be a little bit high, but I won't be in any rush to take Memphis here.
And the first time I've seen since the NBA restart where the tip time and the rotation numbers are not in the same order. So my bad on that. We are at the Portland and Dallas game, 6:30 Eastern tip in this one.
Yeah, I think there was a time change on one of these. That's why they switched one to be the TV game or something like that. And I don't know. I'm not paying a whole lot of attention to shouldn't say I'm not paying any attention to what time the game starts. I am worried about teams that play an early start game after playing a very competitive game less than 48 hours previously. I think that matters. But other than that, I'm not overly concerned about these start times. Dallas is going to be on the second of back-to-backs. We talked about how Luka is not playing today. We talked about how KP is not playing today. Don't know if either guy is going to go tomorrow. Portland has been a very heavily bet team here in the bubble. They've been very good to their backers. The betting markets are not sleeping on the Blazers. My number's only 2.5 here. I don't think I factored in Dallas back-to-back. That's a pure power rating number. If Dallas doesn't have Luka and KP and they play hard today, this number could easily be, 8, and I wouldn't be shocked. But a pure power rating number, just Portland 2.5 over Dallas. That doesn't factor in the situation at all.
All right. He's Teddy Covers on Twitter at Teddy_covers. We got 2 games left here on the Tuesday card. Teddy is 8-0, 100% last 4 days. Check out his plays, sportsmemo.com. He's got NBA and MLB up. It is only $9 Monday, so huge discounts there. Teddy riding hot right now. We got New Orleans, Sacramento, second to last game here. Teddy, any early looks on this one?
Oh, yeah. My number's New Orleans 3 over Sacramento. They're both bet against teams here. They both got eliminated from playoff contention yesterday. Sacramento laid an absolute egg again yesterday. The quotes from New Orleans were concerning enough to me that I will not be on the Pelicans. Not that I've been on the Pelicans, but I won't be on the Pelicans again. Before the game, Alvin Gentry called it, this is game 7 intensity. This is a game 7 for us. We got to win this one to be in the playoffs against San Antonio. Here's the quote from J.J. Redick. We just didn't have any competitive spirit to start the game. We were flat. We weren't talking. That's what it's come down to. When a coach says this is game 7 and the player comes and says we came out flat and didn't have any competitive spirit, that's a bet against quote. So, you can take Sacramento at your own discretion, but I know I won't be on New Orleans. My number, again, power rating, Pelicans 3 over the Kings.
All right, Teddy. And last game on the card, Milwaukee versus Washington. Any quick thoughts here?
The quote from the Wizards, who have played hard. I'll give them credit for that. They're not covering numbers. Scotty Brooks, the name of the game is to win. We're in it to win. We haven't won a game. But we're still going to teach and we're still going to grow. We're still going to work on the correct habits. That's all we're here to do. My number is Milwaukee 11. We'll see what the Bucks look like on the front end of the back-to-back tonight. If they play their guys major minutes, that number might be a little bit lower, but I would not be surprised at all to see the Bucks favored by doubles against a Wizards team that hasn't attracted any money in the bubble and hasn't played well enough to start attracting money in the bubble, even though the effort has been there. All
right, Teddy, and to keep it pushing grind time on Twitter and YouTube here, we got DJ Hayes also asking, did OKC and the Suns today, did we go over that game? Yes, we did, and we're about to end the show, so you can watch the replay here. It would be the first game up, and then it's followed by all the other games on today's slate. So you can hear the rundown there. And Teddy, you'll be back on the WagerTalk YouTube channel here for the NBA show coming up. And anything else you want to you want to throw out there before we shut this down?
Yeah, and again, I apologize for not talking NFL today, but there's nothing going on in the NFL markets, and there's a ton going on in the NBA markets. As for next Monday, I'd love to do an NFL show. If there's something to do, we'll do it. If not, we'll talk NBA playoffs. Because the NBA playoffs will be starting next Monday. So, again, thank you for the Twitter questions. Thank you for the questions in the chat. It really, I love the instant feedback, man. I really do, and I love the live element of it. So, thank you, and good luck today.
Yeah, I second that, guys. Thank you. Follow Teddy on Twitter at Teddy_covers, myself on Twitter at Drew Martin Betts. Feel free to ask us any questions. We'll answer it next week, next Monday, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Pacific time on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. This is the opening line report. Guys, go check out Teddy on sportsmemo.com. $9 Monday. All of his plays discounted to just $9. 8-0, 100% last 4 days. He's hot. Go check him out. Guys, best of luck with your bets, and we'll talk next Monday.